Yeah, I don't know how they do it either.
And I wish we could do that. We can.
You know what? You know what I think that would solve this problem?
What's that?
Is more women in movies.
Can you elaborate?
Oh, well, I think that one of the biggest problems we have.
That was a total non sequitur. Unless you can find a way to connect those two things, Jordan.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to bury or get myself out of this hole because I realized that I just dug it about 9 feet deep.
Yeah.
Let's see. How can we connect this?
More women in film.
Yes.
Matching outfits.
Mm-hmm.
Thor and female Thor may wear matching outfits.
Okay, there it is.
There we go.
So we want to talk about this this female Thor thing.
Not that.
We'll get to
Oh
that.
wait, they can't even see it.
Yeah. But there's actually an angle that I want to talk about this female Thor thing. It's not even really that there is female Thor.
Yeah.
It's more so that how these kinds of things are written about and
Well,
how.
first let's set the scene.
Okay.
So, the 4th Thor movie just got announced, I think, at Comic-Con.
Yes.
In San Diego. Yeah, San Diego Comic-Con International. And they announced that a 4th movie called Thor: Love and Thunder, directed by Taika Waititi,
I'm so glad you got that name memorized because I was not going to get that right.
is going to be directing it. And he directed Thor Ragnarok,
And he
which
direct-
is arguably the best Thor movie.
And he also wrote and directed a movie called Hunt for the Wilder People, which is one of the best movies.
I've never seen it.
It's so good. It's such a good movie. But anyway, I'm sorry.
So, I mean, I don't really have much else to say other than that they announced the movie Love and Thunder, 4th movie directed by that dude, and they brought back in Natalie Portman as Jane Foster, who will be playing female Thor.
Right.
I think Valkyrie will also be in the movie, and of course, Chris Hemsworth will also be in the movie as regular Thor.
Okay.
But yeah, you can, because I know stuff about the comics that maybe we can talk about as well.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have a relative understanding of the Jane whatever character that she.
Jane Foster.
Yeah, because the comic did not sell at all. That's kind of the only angle that I know on it, is that no one was terribly interested in it. But so the way that I want to talk about this is not necessarily that I particularly care that this casting happened. I really don't. I don't really care that I just really I don't care that women are in these movies or that they're taking the roles of whoever else, because it just seems to be like the standard fare for how Hollywood wants to pretend that they're better people than they actually are while they're all fucking children. So I think that, and the reality of thinking about this is, women should really take a look at this in the sense of, it's not progressive to give them these plastic superhero roles. It would be more progressive to write an interesting story about a woman.
An original character
Right.
for a woman.
Exactly.
That's more of a service to women than it is to give her, like you just said, a recycled character.
Right. And also, too, it's like these movies don't... There's nothing... Like, there is no bearing on the gender of these characters that make them... It makes a difference.
Right.
Meaning, Captain Marvel has all the same fucking powers, more powers than anybody else, but she is touted as this important person because... I don't know, we're supposed to care for some reason.
She had like 7 minutes of screen time in Endgame.
Right, because I think that they wised up a little bit and realized how insufferable she was. Or I don't know which one they shot. I think they shot.
I think they shot Endgame first. I think you told me that.
Yeah, I probably knew that at the time. But the thing that I do want to focus on is that I really, and I've said I think a version of this before on the podcast, that I think that the way that these things are written about are Disney, like the Disney machine doing outrage marketing. So, so let me pull up this. Like, so this is a BuzzFeed article, and so I really do believe that BuzzFeed and Disney are like BuzzFeed, Disney, Huffington Post, any kind of lefty outlet that will just praise these things because of casting, which is really kind of sexist in its own right, in a strange way, of just that is, this franchise is now saved because we took the hammer away from the big stupid penis man. This is like really what matters, but I think.
Do you think he has a big stupid penis?
I think he does have a big stupid penis. At least I hope so in my fantasy view. But anyway, so just the headline of this is kind of telling here.
Yeah, it says women are thrilled Natalie Portman will be female Thor in the new movie. Already, I don't totally buy it.
No,
I don't think anybody's even really.
No one really
cares.
even cares. I've not talked to any civilian person.
Regardless of gender.
No.
It's like, okay. All right, the makers of Thor: Love and Thunder announced that Natalie Portman not only will be back in the 4th Thor film, but will also be taking on the mythical hammer and godlike powers herself. The news that Portman's character, Jane Foster, would be back as a female Thor was announced at Comic-Con on Saturday, and people, especially women, are simply overjoyed.
Okay. So...
Gather your thoughts.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So is this written by a woman or a man? That's gonna be kind of interesting. Let's see. Alberto. So a man wrote this, which is fascinating.
I think that's the photographer.
Oh, that's Getty Images. But there should be where's the author?
I would maybe scroll to the bottom, and maybe not. It's not there. It's not there.
Weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I assume it's probably a woman that wrote it. But yeah. So okay. So I don't think that I really don't think that anybody particularly cares about this. But at the same time, you look at how these things are written about, and so every time you see these articles come out that say, you know, Captain Marvel is hated because of strong sexist overtones in this country,
right,
and this and that, and it's like, no, you just wrote a shit character that sucked and had no likability factor, and we've liked female heroines since the forever. I mean, like, as we've talked about Ellen Ripley.
Elastigirl in The Incredibles. Are you kidding me?
That's the one.
She's my favorite.
That's your pick? Even after I showed you Aliens, Ellen Ripley didn't win out?
Elastigirl takes number 1.
Okay.
Maybe she takes number 2.
All right, well, as long as she's in your top 5, then I feel like we can still remain a couple. But I think that the trap that everyone's falling into with this kind of stuff, and it's been so interesting to watch how many... There's all these like stupid gaming channels that have now become commentary channels.
It's interesting how that happens.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is because they all felt fist fucked by Gamergate and like kind of how unfair the narrative was spun in terms of that whole thing, and how the primary video game consuming audience is male, right? So so it really, I mean, and of course, like if there's a male developer on a game, he should be able to make the game however he wants to make it, and you know, however big Laura Croft's tits need to be, then he's obviously allowed to do that. But I think that what's happening is that with these kinds of movies that are already an intellectual property with a particular gender or race that is now fallen out of fashion for whatever reason, they can recast it as whatever else, and then no one would really go see it because now their intellectual property is different that they enjoyed in the Force thing or originally. But now they can just do the thing of creating this outrage marketing where they have like their sort of go-to outlets, everything from New York Times, Washington Post, or whatever, write about how sexist everyone is because they don't like it, and then it would sucker people like you and I to go see movies like Black Panther or like Captain Marvel because we have to see, okay, is it really actually even a good movie? And they kind of weren't. This
does verge slightly on conspiracy, but I think there is some merit to it. I think they are fabricating the outrage here.
Right. Well, and so like the next one I wanted to pull up, so there's a new Terminator movie coming out as well.
Oh, yeah.
And here's the article about that basically I think confirms my theory.
Yeah, let's see. Terminator Dark Fate, the new Terminator movie, will scare the fuck out of sexist trolls, says director. And this is a Yahoo News article.
So just really take into account how this guy is speaking to the people that he wants to go see this movie.
I'm going to put my hands on my hips.
Yes.
Tim Miller won't be acknowledging any sexist trolling going on around Terminator Dark Fate. The Deadpool helmsman, who has directed the latest installment in the sci-fi series, has placed 3 female characters at the heart of his movie, played by Mackenzie Davis, Natalia Reyes, and Linda Hamilton. And he's taking no nonsense whatsoever when it comes to Davis's character, a cyborg from the future called Grace. Well, of course her name is Grace.
This next line is my fucking favorite part.
This is a quote he told Variety. "If you're at all enlightened, she'll play like gangbusters. If you're a closet misogynist, she'll scare the fuck out of you because she's tough and strong but very feminine."
And it's just like, dude, okay, so the only reason why a Hollywood person talks like this is because they're fucking kids or like they're hiding something. Because why would you have to prove that when you're the opposite of whatever this thing is, like for you to write speak about it this way, opposed to just being like, yeah, you know, we kind of felt like a little change was worth it or whatever, and you know, we have Linda Hamilton back in the movie, so we kind of felt like, you know, it would be interesting to see a female Terminator, even though they already did this in the third Terminator where they had a female robot. So it's not like it's anything new anyway. And I would have, you know, it was so tough for someone like me is I would have gone and seen the movie to see Linda Hamilton again.
Right.
But
she looks great.
Now I'm like, I don't want to give this fuckhead any money because, again, he's totally just trying to create the outrage marketing thing where we end up going and seeing it because it pisses us off.
We hate watch it.
Yeah. We did that with Nanette. We did that with everything. Where it's like, Nanette was a very similar example where it's like, that basically just existed as a trailer, but even the trailer was so obnoxious that we reacted to that on the podcast.
You predicted every point. If you guys want to go back and watch our Nanette episode, you did predict every single point that she covered, before we even watched
because
it.
that
It was
profile
insane.
is so obvious. Like that profile of person, you already know what they're. That's
you know
kinda,
exactly what they're gonna say.
You know exactly what they're going to say, and then Hollywood is the exact same way. Of basically when this Lady Thor thing got announced, it's like, well, I already know how they're going to react to this. They're going to talk about how brave and strong this choice is, how and they're also going to do. This is another. So they're calling this the fourth
Fourth phase.
phase 4 of the Marvel movies, and they're going to have an LGBT character, right? What I find so fucking funny is, of course, it's a fucking lesbian. Because
they're never gonna make a gay man.
Never. Because lesbian is super fucking safe. And so it just goes to show that they're willing to kind of dip their toes in with things that actually are a little bit controversial, but in reality,
it is so transparent it is a money grab, and it makes it so that Middle America will still see these movies because she's like, they won't care that she's a lesbian because Middle America watches lesbian porn.
Right.
But like liberal America will be watching this movie because she's a lesbian.
And they'll feel like they're a really good person because they went and watched it. Yes.
Yes.
And so like the title of this podcast, we just want to be entertained.
We love the entertainment.
We love the entertainment, and I think that all of us have to admit, including us as a commentary channel, I have no fucking illusion about this, that the Outrage is so delicious. Like there's something about it that like we love to eat up. We love it so much. We love reacting to trolling the libtards, or it's like that's not really our shtick, but it is that kind of thing of like Democrats, and we'll get into like things like this a little bit later on in the podcast, but like the Democratic Party basically self-immolating at this point is been the most spectacular thing to watch because even as a former Democrat, now politically homeless person, I which respect that part of my life. I'm in a minority group now. I'm a politically homeless person.
Oh, really? Are you an oppressed minority?
Yes, I'm a PHP.
Politically homeless person.
Yes.
Wow, we need to house our politically homeless.
Yes.
Especially our veterans.
Yes, well, just donate to my Patreon. And
whoa!
Yeah. But I think that this the only thing that's keeping old dinosaur media alive is Outrage.
Yeah.
And so why would it be surprising to anyone that Hollywood would do the exact same thing and feed off of the Outrage clicking and like I believe that all of these publications are dying, like Huffington Post, Vox, and so they will just hop on the Outrage train to then get right-wing people to click on it that truly don't want Lady Thor, which I think that it was interesting to watch when the Terminator thing was happening, because even right-wing Twitter was pretty privy on the fact that this is outrage like this is an interesting way to market your movie. I think people are wise to it now. Like they're wise to what has been going on, which has been kind of a relief to see. But it is still so funny to me to watch people on the left be like, yes, queen, very brave, thank good, finally some gay representation in movies. Right. Like this hasn't been done so many fucking times. So it's do you mind reading some of these?
Yeah, let's see. Neon Oni says people loved Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2, don't mind the chick Terminator in Terminator 3, and loved Summer... I can't... It's hard to read.
Summer Glau.
Summer Glau in the Terminator TV show. There's no danger of fanboys being turned off by women in the franchise.
No, of course not. Because Linda
is super safe.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. So like, I want you to just keep reading this guy, because like this just shows you the mental illness of Hollywood. Okay.
Here is another quote. We did not trade certain gender traits for others. She's just very strong, and that frightened some dudes. You can see online the responses to some of the early shit that's out there. Trolls on the internet. I don't give a fuck, he says. Now that's how you respond to sexists complaining about feminazis, as they did when the first Dark Fate poster emerged. Okay. Though the bones of the story have not been divulged.
Actually, let's stop it right there real quick. Did you see anybody talking like that?
I saw literally no one.
Literally nobody.
I was just amazed when we saw the trailer in theaters when we went to go see Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I was just amazed that they were rebooting another fucking movie. Franchise.
Yeah, and
Thor? Jesus.
And Arnold's like geriatric at this point, so it just is. It's kind of pathetic. And anyway, we get it. This guy's just a fucking raging turd, and I'm just kind of wondering when it was kind of delightful to see right-wing Twitter sort of react to this accordingly, of knowing they were being manipulated, which that's what this is. This is it's manipulating your emotions to either go see this thing or to I don't even think they particularly care about whether or not you go and see the movie at this point. It's more so about you using your online presence so they can weaponize people to get people talking about this movie. That I think that, like, if there was no rage marketing around this Terminator movie, everyone would be like, what you said. Are you seriously rebooting another like, seriously we're doing this? And again, it's like, you think about what's in theaters now, it's all remakes, it's all Marvel movies, and it's all sequels to things that we don't really want.
And for the most part, it's Disney squeezing the fucking life out of our dicks.
And that's kind of the interesting part of this, is how fucking powerful Disney is.
And how deep do they run?
Yeah.
It's like, they have everything.
Everything.
They own all of your favorite superheroes. They own all of your favorite childhood movies. What else? So they own Terminator? I'm sure they fucking own Terminator, right?
Let's see, because if it's a Sony property, then they do. Let's see.
Jesus. Like, it's just, I mean, that actually ties into something else that I want to talk about. That was to tie back into the new Thor movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's find out about
Let's
Terminator.
see here.
Terminator
Sorry,
Dark Fate.
I can't see my thing here. Let's see. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, anyways, this whole, or maybe it'll be like right here. Production company Paramount.
Walt Disney
Studios.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Disney owns every
Everything.
aspect of your ass.
Right.
And like, this is something that ties back into the Thor movie. This is a very subversive way to get people to subscribe to Disney Plus, their new streaming service.
Because, like you, I'll let you go ahead and take this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, in an article that I read about Thor: Love and Thunder, it's picking up at the end of where a Jeremy Renner Disney Plus series left off. So what is the green?
Who gives a fuck?
What's his name? Hawkeye. Hot guy.
But
where he's not that hot.
No.
But like where that leaves off. So it's like, okay, you have to catch up on this series and also see the new fucking Doctor Strange movie. And then after you've seen those, you will have caught up to the point where Thor: Love and Thunder picks up.
Right.
And it's like, okay, go subscribe to our service so you can be a true fan.
Yeah.
And give us more money.
And people are complete and utter rubes who don't care about. I just think, like, actually, I'm gonna be kind of careful, because I mean, to say that everybody is Philistine is pretty fucking glib. But there is an element of it that is pretty transparent in terms of people just wanting to be entertained. It's like no one wants to think anymore. And then I think that everyone giving hot takes on politics that are really just Siberian takes are because they don't. No one. And I had this note in the art, or in our shared note for the podcast, which was to say that we will read the actual article for you so you can get past the headline, because the headlines I've been finding when I'm looking for articles for this podcast are so fucking misleading. Yeah. And they have really nothing to do with the content of what was actually said, which is creating like such an issue for I don't know, for everybody else, and everyone is, but everyone's a fucking genius, or rather they are well read in every topic that they choose to tackle in terms of politics, which it's so ridiculous. Like, everyone feels like their voice is so important, and we're no exception to this, obviously, because we're doing this right now.
Podcast.
Right. But at the same time, it's like I'm willing to totally admit that I'm a fucking moron in a lot of ways, and I don't know. Yeah. I'm not really sure.
Neon Oni says Disney now owns the Alien and Predator franchises,
no fucking
too.
Way.
They're going to reboot it, and they're going to bring back God, I'm forgetting her name.
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver. They're going to bring her back for a cameo in the new Alien vs. Predator, and they're going to have her in for like 7 minutes, or she's going to save the day at the very end, but the protagonist will be another woman who is poorly written. We're going to get another one of those things.
Yeah, Kevin, we know that Disney merged with Fox, but they don't own Fox News. They just own Fox's media stuff, which also owns Sony. So they own Sony and Fox. They own everything. Yeah. They own, I think the only independent studio now that they don't own is Warner.
Really?
I think that's the only one, pretty much.
Oh,
there might be a few, but like Warner was the one I remember that stood out to me in particular. But okay, so I mean, but here's this actually is a good example. So you can see here. I'll pull this up here. This is for the Terminator movie. So the production company is Paramount, 20th Century Fox, Skydance Media, Tencent Pictures, Lightstorm Media. So we click on Paramount. Let's see if they own Paramount now too. Paramount may own the rights to it. No, Viacom. Viacom is another mega corporation that owns.
But Viacom is owned by who?
I don't think they're owned by anybody. They're their own thing.
Okay.
Yeah, Viacom's fucking enormous.
Jeez.
So I think it's Time Warner. it's Time Warner, Viacom, Disney. Those are kind of the big ones that come to my mind instantly. But basically, it's been fascinating to watch just how much people are entertained by their own outrage. That seems to be what, I don't know, humanity is kind of leaning towards. And I think that in lieu of having actual emotions or feelings or thoughts that are original, you can just lean into your anger, and that solves the problem. Now
that actually seems to be the answer for most people.